That's fine.
Welcome to Abecedarians. I'm Matt Beers. This is...
You didn't say my...
I didn't. I was
You
waiting
said
for
it
you.
last time.
Did I?
Yes, you said, this is Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Brian.
And Brian. Jordan Chitwood. I'll beep that out. And Brian Foss. No need to beep, because his name doesn't sound like a cuss word. Today, we're going to cover Cain and Abel. Brian is going to give us the brief recap.
It's a very brief recap. So Cain and Abel were presumably the first sons of Adam and Eve. We don't know. It doesn't say anything about any other children. It just talks about Cain and Abel, which is kind of a pattern in this first part of Genesis, that they talk about certain kids and then a bunch of other kids just get glossed over. Anyway, Cain was a farmer.
Going into this, we knew we were bad at recaps, but we decided to let Brian take a shot at it. Turns out, he's no good at it either. So while I'm doing our lightning quick recap, go ahead and watch this footage of Brian flipping pancakes. Cain and Abel were the firstborn sons of Adam and Eve. Cain grew up to become a farmer like his father, and Abel grew up to care for livestock. When the time came for them to make offerings to God, Cain gave some vegetables, which are lovely and all, but not as lovely as what Abel gave, which were the very best parts of his flock. The gift that Abel gave to God was given from the heart because he was thankful. The gift that Cain gave to God was done out of obligation, and it was not a gift of love, but a gift of duty. God accepted Abel's gift, but he did not accept Cain's gift. When Cain saw this, he became very angry and decided to kill his brother Abel. Awesome, and that brings us up to speed.
There we are.
And so that's Cain and Abel, ladies and gentlemen. Cain killed Abel. Welcome to the
We're
party.
really good at these recaps. All right, so so put it in a modern perspective so that we can relate to these guys. Cain, he's sort of a farmer, but he didn't choose this life. He inherited
The
this.
farmer's life chose him.
Yeah, right. He's the kid who drives his tractor to school, and everyone's like, does he think that's cool? Did he hear about this in a country song, and now he's trying to, live that life?
Probably has a piece of straw in his mouth.
He does,
He's
always.
that guy.
And he has a belt buckle so big that you could not punch him in the junk if you wanted to, because it's like a shield. He looks like Captain America with that thing. He's got a lot of confidence, but it's totally misplaced, and nobody really likes him, but if he thinks for 1 second that you're making fun of him, he's going to pick a fight.
I keep looking at Matt's hands.
And yes, my fat hands. What about my hands?
They look like little hobbit hands.
Abel, he raised animals for slaughter, but he didn't just be like, oh, hey, look, you guys are all meat. He was a nurturer. He cared for these animals, and he really had the heart of a shepherd, where, he thought, yes, this is your purpose. Your purpose is to die and to feed me, but in the meantime, I'm going to give you a nice life.
It's like a hippie farmer in California somewhere who's raising their own livestock instead of buying meat from Oscar Mayer or something, right?
Yeah, that's probably better. Because Oscar Mayer,
Birkenstocks. He's a Birkenstock guy. Yeah.
See, that's hippie.
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
There you go.
Okay, so you got the cowboy and the hippie. Yeah? Okay, we'll go with
Let's
that.
go with that.
Yeah.
Cowboy and the hippie.
And the hippie. Now, typically, I think in our culture, you look at the cowboy and you see a guy who's responsible. He's Ford tough, right? And then you see the hippie as total burnout stoner. He's getting government money and he's doing nothing with his life.
Oh boy.
But in this story, I feel like those roles are reversed, where Abel, he really does have it together. He knows what he's doing. He's figured himself out. He's happy with who he is. And Cain, he doesn't. Nothing works for him, and he doesn't know why, because he's doing everything his dad did. He's doing what he's supposed to do, right?
We don't really know if he was following in his father's footsteps, because there's really nothing. I mean, it doesn't really talk about what Adam did. It just talks about when he gets, booted out of the garden, and then, God says, now the ground is not going to cooperate with you, so you're going to have to work harder to get, fruit from the ground.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
So what I find interesting in the story, since I've been overtalked the whole time and looking at Matt's hands, so what I find was really interesting about the story, and it wasn't until I read it through this time, so we know Cain killed Abel.
I'm looking at your hands.
Cain killed Abel. That's good stuff, man. What I find interesting as this read through is that, so we know Cain was the firstborn. And so I started wrestling with the question, why did Cain get so angry all of a sudden? But when you especially understand the firstborn back in that day, the first maleborn was expected to inherit all of the father's blessings, all of the possessions, all of God's blessings, etc. That's how that household worked. And so when Cain and Abel both bring an equal amount of offering, not the same type of offering, but an equal amount, where Cain brings his offering and then Abel brings his offering to his dad, to God, to be blessed. And Abel is the one that was blessed by God because he brings his first fruits, the second born. And Cain is actually cursed by God because of it. That, I think, is what sparks a lot of the anger inside. Is he's realizing that he's losing his blessing. He's instead of being blessed as the firstborn would, is being cursed by God. And so that, I think, is where that anger starts to spark out. And he kind of takes a more aggressive approach than most of us would, and kills his brother. But that's what I found was pretty interesting, is why maybe he got so angry. Is he literally saw his inheritance being passed on, even though he set himself up to fail by not giving his first fruits.
Okay. Now, you talk about killing your brother, and you made a comparison to, how angry we would get with our brothers, or maybe I wasn't really listening. We each have a brother.
We do.
Okay. Brian,
where is this going?
What would it take for you to kill your brother?
Oh boy.
I wouldn't want to try because it would end badly for me.
Right. Your brother is like,
it doesn't really matter what I would want to do.
He's like a badger. It's like
a honey badger.
Yes.
Cain gets so mad, instead of realizing he did something wrong. So he did something wrong. So he gets reprimanded basically by God for doing something wrong. And instead of being like, stink, I should probably rectify that. I should probably, change what I'm doing. He's like, that goody two-shoes Abel, I'm going to go kill him.
Yeah.
Like, really? You're mad at the guy who did the right thing because you did the wrong thing. Which is, we still do
your
that
heart
today.
wasn't in the right place. And instead of like him saying, I'm going to take this as a growth moment.
A lesson.
Yeah, he's like, okay, so if he's the standard, I'm going to get rid of him and I'm going to lower the bar.
Then I can be the standard.
And then I get to be the standard.
And the second thing, going off of that, is even after he kills Abel and is approached by God, where is your brother? Where is your friend? He doesn't feel any remorse for it. And then asks the question, and this is, I think, the most critical question that Jesus and God both set up the entire narrative of the Bible then to answer, is, am I my brother's keeper? And so I think that is probably one of the more critical questions that God then realizes, wow, humanity's hearts is so greedy that I have to spend the next 65 books, letters, X amount of years answering this question that, yes, you are not only your brothers or your sisters or your neighbor's keeper, but you are expected to love them as such as they are my child. And that's the question that I think it just shows the human's heart, where Abel is killed by his brother, and Cain still can't come to terms with, wow, not only what I did was wrong, but I shouldn't have even allowed my heart to get to the place that I had so much anger towards not just my brother, but another child of God. Awkward silence.
Yeah, I started drinking when I should have been talking.
So kill
Back
your
to killing our
brothers.
brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to carry on?
No,
with that?
All right. I answered
I
the question.
don't think we
know.
ever should have started.
What would it take for you to kill Peyton?
Wow, we are name dropping.
Other than like a dump truck full of nuclear
I don't
missiles.
think I could ever kill Peyton.
No.
He's my best friend.
Okay. Oh, I thought you meant physically, because I was like, you're right. He's literally two
Like
of you,
he is.
but like
He's stronger, bigger, taller, more,
kinder.
That's also true.
He has never ever mocked my hands.
Okay, but I have given you some encouragement.
I must have edited that part out. I don't recall the encouragement.
I encouraged you this week on Sunday. I said,
I thought you
so
meant
much.
recently
I said, thank you
about
so
my
much.
fat
no,
hands.
I am good for at least 10 insults now.
Okay.
I've given you more encouragement.
I didn't
than
realize you
you've
were
given me.
buying the right to mock me. I didn't know that's how that worked.
So we're not going to kill our brothers.
I really can't
you know what?
answer that.
I'm not gonna make
You
that
might
promise.
be able to answer that. I
Yeah.
can't answer that.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can see Peyton doing
Okay, great.
that would. I would put him in jail.
Very quickly, we're gonna sort Cain and Abel into their Hogwarts houses. Now, there's gonna be
I totally forgot we even do that.
I swear, if you put them all in a Slytherin,
No. There are no Slytherins.
You
Cain.
terrible
Now listen, everyone's going to think, oh, Cain murdered his brother, so he's a Slytherin. Okay, here's the thing. There are not a lot of people on Earth. There are not a lot of suspects to this crime. Cain, were he a Slytherin, would have thought about that. Slytherins, they plan their crimes. They are not emotional criminals. They don't. It's not a crime of passion with a Slytherin. They plan it out. He'd say, "Hold up, if I kill this dude, they're gonna figure it out. They're gonna narrow
That's
it down.
theological statement there, though.
They're gonna zip it. They're gonna narrow it down."
There might have been other.
We're not sure how many people are
the
there.
sons of
Matt
God
thinks
and the
he knows.
daughters of
However,
men thing?
also they
that's
have that relationship, that voice to voice relationship with God. He's gonna know. He's like, look, God's not stupid. He's gonna know it was me, right? So
Except he played dumb.
I'm not gonna murder him. I'm gonna make his life miserable. I'm gonna spread rumors. I'm gonna talk behind his back, and I'm gonna, steal his wife or whatever. I don't know. That was a thing they did. Cain,
Anyway.
I really don't think he had that sort of sneakiness that is the key trait of a Slytherin. Okay, nor did he have the intelligence, really, of a Ravenclaw.
10 out of 10.
And he certainly
are
didn't have the
intelligent.
compassion and loyalty of a Hufflepuff.
Okay. I agree with you on this one.
He acted very emotionally. He shot from the hip. He was straight up Gryffindor.
I agree with you on this
He
one.
was like a dark side Gryffindor, but he was a Gryffindor. Okay.
This is the first one I agree with.
Hey, and you were so worried. Abel, he made the right decision to give his best
First
to
fruits.
God.
Yep.
He showed loyalty to God. He showed trust in God to give God the best of what God had given him, to return to God, right? So he made this very loving, very compassionate, heartfelt decision to do the right thing, which is a very Hufflepuff trait.
You could technically still make the argument that, I agree with both of those.
Okay.
You could make the argument Cain was leaning as a second house of a Ravenclaw. Because he might have processed and analyzed every situation how not to have to give up his first fruits.
He could have done
He
that.
could have.
He could have.
But I do agree with both.
But his actions
Yeah.
with the murder suggest that he didn't
Correct.
think through
That's,
that at all.
That's
Here's
correct.
something interesting though.
Oh.
So
Okay, that's all.
God asked
He's going to go
Cain,
through his notes. We're good.
"What have you done?" The same question he asked Eve when he went.